All right, so you're prepping for a clothing finisher interview, huh? Big congrats. We've got a ton of RoleCatcher resources here to help you totally ace it. Think of this deep dive as your secret weapon, giving you that edge over the competition.
Preparation is key, and having those really insightful answers ready to go.
You got it. We'll break down some common clothing finisher interview questions, give you the inside scoop on how to make your answers shine. We'll also touch on some cool career insights and how RoleCatcher's AI can help you level up. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
First things first, what exactly does a clothing finisher do all day? I think some folks might picture, I don't know, a glamorous fashion show or something, but it's way more about the behind-the-scenes detail work, right?
Yeah, you got it. Clothing finishers are all about precision. They're the ones making sure garments look absolutely perfect before they hit the racks. Think those perfectly aligned buttons, zippers, ribbons, all that good stuff. That's the clothing finisher's magic touch. They also handle things like snipping those tiny little threads, weighing garments, packing them up, and making sure they're labeled just right.
Like the unsung heroes of the fashion world.
Absolutely. Crucial role, for sure.
So let's say you're in the hot seat and the interviewer hits you with this. Can you walk me through your experience with finishing different types of fabrics and garments? What's going on in the interviewer's head when they ask this one?
They're trying to gauge your knowledge, see how deep it goes. Do you just know the basics? Or can you really talk about all those different fabrics and the specific techniques you'd use for each one?
So don't just rattle off a laundry list of every fabric you've ever touched, right? It's about picking the right examples.
Exactly. Think about the range of fabrics you've handled. Delicate silks, chiffons, sturdy denim, even those performance synthetics. And don't just say, oh, chiffon is delicate. Dive into the details. Talk about using a pressing cloth to avoid scorching, or how you would avoid using pins so you don't snag the fabric. Those little things make a big difference.
Yeah, those details really matter in this line of work.
Absolutely. Attention to detail is key. And here's a chance to take it up a notch. Think of a time you faced a tricky situation with a fabric or a garment and had to find a creative solution, maybe a last-minute design change, or a fabric that just behaved unexpectedly.
I like that. It shows you can think on your feet and solve problems, which, let's be honest, is crucial in any job.
For sure. They want to see that you're not just following a script, that you can handle those inevitable curveballs that come up.
All right, so we've talked about showing off your technical skills, but let's shift gears to quality control. I'm guessing the interviewer is going to want to know how you make sure those garments meet the highest standards. Maybe something like, how do you ensure that garments are finished to the highest quality standards?
Oh, yeah, that's a classic one. They want to know you're the last line of defense before that garment goes out the door.
So you can't just say, I have an eye for detail. You need to break down your process.
Right. What are those specific things you're looking for? Loose threads, seam alignment, is the sizing accurate? It all matters. And don't forget those extra little details. Are the buttons and zippers the right style for the garment? Is everything like polished and professional?
Wouldn't it be amazing if there was a tool that could analyze your answers and tell you if you were hitting all those key points?
Well, that's where RoleCatcher's AI comes in. It's like having a personal interview coach who can give you feedback on your answers and help you really refine your delivery.
That's incredible. We'll have to dig into that a bit more later. But for now, let's stick with the interview questions. What's next?
Let's talk prioritization. When you're dealing with a mountain of garments, how do you stay organized and make sure everything gets done right? And on time, of course.
So the interviewer might ask something like, how do you prioritize your finishing tasks when working on a large volume of garments? What are they really trying to find out here?
Organizational skills, mainly, and their understanding of workflow. Can you stay calm under pressure? Can you manage your time?
You need a system, right? It's not enough to just say, I'm a good multitasker.
Exactly. Do you group similar items together to streamline things? Do you use a tracking system, maybe a to-do list? Maybe you prioritize rush orders or break down larger tasks into smaller steps?
Let's talk about when it go wrong, because they inevitably do. The interviewer is definitely going to want to know how you handle those unexpected hiccups, especially when it comes to damage. Something like, how do you handle a garment that's been damaged during the finishing process?
Ugh. Yeah, the dreaded damage question. It's all about problem solving and owning the situation.
So how do you approach this one?
Walk them through your thought process. First, you assess the damage, right? What happened and how bad is it? Then you try to figure out the cause. Was it a faulty machine? Human error? Something else entirely? And then you got to communicate. Do you need to talk to your supervisor? Maybe even the customer if it's a big issue. And finally, you focus on solutions. Can the garment be repaired, replaced, maybe adjusted somehow?
It's about showing that you can stay calm and find a resolution, even when things get a little stressful.
Exactly. They want to see that you're a problem solver, not a problem creator.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher can help you practice your answers to all these tricky questions and get that personalized feedback. It's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket.
It's a game changer for sure.
We've covered a lot of ground already, but we're just getting started. Stay tuned for even more insightful interview questions and those winning strategies to help you land that dream clothing finisher job.
Welcome back to our deep dive into clothing finisher interview prep.
We're tackling those tough interview questions, but, with a bit of a twist.
That's right. We're going beyond just the surface level.
So let's say you get hit with this one. How do you stay up to date with the latest fabric finishing techniques and trends? What's the interviewer really getting at here?
They want to see that you're passionate about your craft, that you're committed to constantly learning and growing. The fashion industry is constantly evolving, so it's important to show them you're staying ahead of the curve.
So how do you convince them that you're not, stuck in a fashion time warp?
Share how you stay informed. Do you read industry magazines or blogs? Attend conferences or workshops? Maybe you follow influential designers or manufacturers on social media. There are so many ways to stay in the loop.
Wouldn't it be amazing if you could actually get personalized feedback on your answers to this kind of question?
Well, that's where RoleCatcher's AI can be a real game changer. Imagine practicing your responses and getting insights that are tailored to specific job roles. It's like having a secret weapon in your interview arsenal.
It's like having a fashion-forward AI in your corner,
Yeah.
keeping you up to date. Okay, back to those interview questions. Let's talk about teamwork. I'm guessing interviewers want to know you can, play nice with others, especially in a fast-paced environment like a clothing factory.
Oh, absolutely. They're looking for team players. They might ask something like, can you describe a time you had to collaborate with other departments to make sure a garment was finished correctly?
So it's not just about knowing your way around a sewing machine. It's about navigating those sometimes tricky interpersonal dynamics too.
Exactly. The fashion industry is all about collaboration, so being a team player is essential. Think of a specific example where you worked with another department, maybe design or production, to solve a problem or achieve a shared goal. Describe the challenges, how you communicated, the steps you took to find a solution that worked for everyone involved.
It's about showing that you can handle those inevitable conflicts that come up when you're working with all these different personalities and priorities.
Right, and that you're able to come up with creative solutions that keep that whole production process moving smoothly.
Speaking of keeping things moving smoothly, let's talk about time management. I'm sure interviewers are going to want to know you can work efficiently without sacrificing quality.
For sure, that's a big one. They might ask something like, how do you ensure that garments are finished in a timely manner while still maintaining those high-quality standards?
So how do you strike that balance? Speed and perfection.
Share your strategies for staying organized and on track. Do you have a system for prioritizing tasks? Do you use any time-saving techniques or tools?
I love that idea of tools and techniques. It's like having a secret formula for productivity.
It's about working smarter, not harder. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can actually give you insights into those industry best practices and help you figure out ways to boost your efficiency.
It's like having a personal efficiency expert right in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's be realistic. Even the most skilled clothing finisher might have to deal with, a grumpy customer every now and then. How do you handle those situations where someone just isn't happy with the finished product?
That's a great question, and one that interviewers are definitely going to ask. They might phrase it as, how do you handle a difficult customer who's unhappy with the finished product?
It's all about those customer service skills, right?
Absolutely. Even though you're not on the front lines of retail, you're still part of that whole customer satisfaction picture.
So what's the best way to, diffuse that tension?
Start by listening attentively, really acknowledging their feelings. Then try to offer some solutions. Address the issue head on and show them you're willing to go that extra mile. It's about turning that negative experience into a positive one.
It's amazing how far a little empathy and problem solving can go.
It can make all the difference. And you know what? RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze customer feedback and help you come up with strategies for handling those tricky situations. It's like having a virtual customer service guru in your corner.
Now, let's switch gears a bit and talk about when the machines themselves decide to act up. I'm sure interviewers want to see that you can troubleshoot problems when those technical gremlins come out to play.
Oh, for sure, they'll want to know you're resourceful. The question like, can you give me an example of a time you had to troubleshoot a problem with a finishing machine? That's pretty common.
So how do you showcase your inner tech wizard, so to speak?
Describe a specific time you had to deal with a technical issue. Explain the problem, how you figured out the cause, and what steps you took to fix it. Did you consult the manual? Try different settings? Maybe seek help from a more experienced technician?
It's about showing that you're not afraid to roll up your sleeves and find solutions, even when things get complicated.
Right. And RoleCatcher can actually help you prep for these questions by giving you insights into common machine malfunctions and troubleshooting techniques.
It's like having a virtual toolbox of knowledge right at your fingertips. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, but there's still more to come. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore the career path of a closing finisher and how RoleCatcher can really help you tailor your answers for that maximum impact. We're back for the final part of our clothing finisher interview prep deep dive.
We've covered a lot of ground, from those tricky interview questions to handling those customer service situations.
Now it's time to talk about how to polish that application and, really make it shine. And of course, what this role could lead to down the road.
Let's start with that application polish. Remember all those AI-powered features we talked about earlier?
Oh yeah, the secret weapons in the RoleCatcher arsenal.
Exactly. Imagine having AI analyze job descriptions and pinpoint those keywords, those skills that hiring managers are really looking for.
It's like having a personal resume stylist who knows exactly what's hot in the fashion industry.
Ah.
And I don't mean those platform sneakers that are back in style.
Right, a much more practical kind of style for sure. But it's not just about looking good on paper. RoleCatcher can also help you nail those interviews.
You mean that AI feedback feature that analyzes your practice answers?
That's the one. It's like having a virtual interview coach giving you personalized tips on your delivery, your content, even your body language.
Like a fashion fairy godmother waving her magic wand over your interview skills.
Let's stick with the AI analogy for now. But yeah, it's about giving you that extra confidence boost.
And what about that bookmark feature? The one that lets you create your own personalized study guide.
Ah, yeah, that's perfect for those questions that always seem to trip you up. You can flag them, practice them over and over again until you have them down pat.
Like a cheat sheet for interview success.
Mm-hmm.
But, totally legit, of course.
Always best to play by the rules. Speaking of playing the long game, let's talk about where a career as a clothing finisher can take you.
Yeah, where do you go from perfectly aligned buttons and those expertly steamed seams? Is there room to move up in this field?
Absolutely. A typical work environment might be a factory or warehouse, maybe not as glamorous as a fashion show, but there are definitely opportunities to climb that ladder.
So you're saying I could trade in my seam ripper for a corner office someday?
Well, maybe not a corner office, but definitely a chance to take on more responsibility. You could move into a supervisory role, maybe specialize in a particular type of garment or fabric, or even, branch out and start your own thing.
From closing finisher to fashion entrepreneur, huh? That's a plot twist I did not see coming.
It's all about taking advantage of those opportunities for continuous learning. The more you know about fabrics, techniques, technologies, the more valuable you become.
And who knows? Maybe someday you'll be the one designing those crazy outfits that make fashion critics gasp.
I'll leave the designing to the experts, but I do love seeing those creative visions come to life, and that's where clothing finishers play such a vital role.
They're the ones making sure those designs look as good in person as they do on the runway.
Exactly. And as technology keeps changing the fashion industry, the role of a clothing finisher is evolving too.
So it's not just about those traditional skills. It's about staying ahead of the curve, adapting to those new tools and technologies.
Right. And that's where resources like RoleCatcher can be so helpful, helping you stay ahead of the curve, prepare for the future of fashion.
It's like having a crystal ball for your career, but instead of vague predictions, it gives you concrete steps to take.
And tons of data-driven insights to guide you along the way.
Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into clothing finisher interview prep. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are about to embark on their job search adventure?
Remember, preparation is key. Do your research on the company, practice your answers, use those AI-powered tools to your advantage. And most importantly, don't be afraid to let your passion and enthusiasm shine through. After all, you're the one who's going to make those garments look their absolute best.
Exactly. Good luck out there, future clothing finishers. And a big thanks to our expert for sharing their insights and expertise today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep those seams straight.
And those buttons perfectly aligned.
This is The Deep Dive, signing off.